he was independent, and the woman was dependent on the male. So therefore, the male was the head of the household. Now, the woman, she's independent, meaning we don't need the men, only for a baby, and now we can provide all that. We can provide financially for a woman, and that's mainly, you know, the argument. Well, I'm there, and I want to get this point across. You know, people think just because you're at home with the child, you know, that you spend time with your children. You know, I heard a lot of people say, well, I'm at home all the time with my kids, but that don't mean you actually raising your kids.
You're saying it takes more than that.
It takes more than that. You know, like you said, the media is programming us, so they'll go in your room, watch TV. Now the TV is got all types of ideas and images in their mindset. And you're not countering that information or that doctrine that they're giving. You're actually going along with it. You know, they're seeing it and that, so oh yeah, it is good, it is real, you know. And by you not having that male or that consistent male, you know.
Consistency.
You got 3 or 4 men coming in the house, and now that baby girl, she's looking and saying, oh, look, it's okay. It's okay for me to have 3 or 4 men. You know, and who knows what that baby girl going through, and by her seeing that, and you know, that's their lifestyle. You know, that's what's gonna come from.
We're talking about the future of African American children.
It came back to me.
It came back to you. Go ahead.
And the part of that I was trying to address was how do we counter those images in the media? Well, just simply, well. Wouldn't it make logical sense to go find a solution with those people who are successful at that particular task? That will go along with our paradigm in trying to counter racism and white supremacy using a Afrocentric value structure. I remember them saying that we need to listen to our elders because they're the only ones who can really advise us in family matters. They're the ones who care the most about family matters. So instead of indulging and trying to, well, not indulging, but instead of allowing ourselves and our ideas of family be based upon what they show us on the tube or on the television and allowing that to shape our children's ideas of the family, we need to go to our elders and listen to them.
Okay, we're down to 5 minutes. Let's move as quickly as we can. Akil, I want to go to you and then wrap up with Omar. Our children are hurt when daddies choose not to be around or mothers choose to pretend like fathers don't matter. Also, when a relationship falls apart, this means that the odds of building wealth are diminished severely and the hamster wheel of black economic struggle continues. I like that examination of a question. Brother Akil.
Yeah, I was going to say something about the role of the father, and this is all connected to everybody else.
Yes.
Saying. You know, the father has been, we know that African men have been emasculated through the process of the institution of slavery. And so after that was over, they were left with no authority in the household, no authority in this nation. And so if you add in the feminist movement that goes along with that in the 50s and 60s, and how black women became empowered through that, and that's where the whole idea you don't need a man comes from. Because there's systems in place to accommodate women who are in those single parent relationships, and the father is generally left outside of that accommodation. There's no programs for the father. You know, if he's unemployed, there's no programs for him to, you know, regain some type of authority over himself, and so he has no ability to communicate with the woman because the woman says, "I don't need you."
Absolutely.
And so that cuts off communication right there. And so if he can't communicate, what is he going to do? He's going to walk away most of the time. Most of the time.
And that question tied right into relationships and the conflict in these relationships, that whole antagonizing, pettiness and jealousy and not being able to be, say it again?
It's set up that way.
It's set up that way.
It's a plan.
It's a plan. So African Americans have to do what? Break through and come up with solutions and ways to manage, first of all, themselves. Secondly, to manage their relationships and get outside of themselves and say that the children are most important here. Forget about me and my feelings and what he's saying is that it seems like these grown folks are only thinking about themselves and their little petty emotions, feelings, and jealousy. Omar, we've got 3 minutes.
You know, I joined the Nation of Islam right when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still on the scene.
Okay.
And one thing he said in an audience that I really was remarked by, and that is that he said that one day you will invite Satan into your home to babysit your children. And I was trying to figure out who the hell would invite Satan into your house to babysit your children. And it wasn't until years later I realized that the Satan that he was talking about was the television
Yes.
set.
Yes.
And then he said there were 3 sciences that white people didn't teach us. And one of them, at the top of the list, was the science of mating. How to choose a mate. We choose a mate based on the media. We want somebody that looks good. He's a Hulk. She's a whatever. She's a Raven Beauty. She got curves and whatever. She's a red bone. But we don't know how to choose a mate.
Mm-hmm.
We need these women I see that are in these predicaments. And the baby's father is not able to function because a lot of times he doesn't have the intellectual capacity equal to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
He don't have financial resources. He's still staying with his mama, sleeping on the couch, and getting her to pick him up and take him over to her house for entertainment. He can't even buy her a dinner except when he go to McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't ask the question, how are you going to take care of a child if we have one?
Mm-hmm.
But these things are questions that need to be asked, and she doesn't know how to ask them. But she's looking for what she saw on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear men all the time talking about, I want a red bone woman. What the hell is that? Nobody got a red bone.
Have you ever seen a bone? Have you ever seen a bone that was red?
But that's because we are ignorant of the science of mating. Because we are ignorant, we keep on falling in the same trap over and over again.
Yes.
You know, this man that we came up under has no moral character whatsoever.
Okay.
And what he teaches us is going to keep us off track.
Okay.
I want to add to that. Without that
And let me throw something in there while you're adding to that. Speak on this one too. Think carefully about who you choose to sleep with.
Right.
Go ahead, Lonnie.
This is going to turn to that. Without that male in the household, like you said, you know, like if I was to have a daughter, you know, I'm very picky, you know, so you know you protective of your daughter.
Okay.
So, you know, you see her with another guy, or you know, whatever, you already judging whatever, you like, hey, you know, this and this.
Yes.
And without that male in that household, though, a single woman, them girls, you know, who's out there protecting them girls, you know, and who's giving them advice on the type of male that they need, you know what I'm saying? So they missing that with that vision.
Yes.
Okay, we're coming very close. Akil, we live in a culture where the actions of love are driven more by impulse than logic.
No, I definitely agree. You know, people don't even know what
Contrast and compare.
People don't know what love is. Love is something that has to be nurtured. It takes
Okay.
time to fall in love with somebody.
Yes.
But today, everything happens so quickly. You know, this is the internet age. This is the age of smartphones. This is the age of technology driving the lives of people. So we're used to having things done so quickly. So even that has an impact on the relationships that you build in your life, whether they're male, female, male, female, however the relationships are. There's going to be an impact there in terms of the speed factor, the time factor, and that time factor suggests that you got to have it right now. You got to have it right now. So you're lusting at that point. You're not loving. You can't be loving after a day or two. You know, it takes time to love.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it takes even a year just to even get to somewhat know a person.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people don't take that time. They don't take that year to get to learn the person. You know, you don't take the time to get to know the person's likes and dislikes. You know, what angers a person, what makes a person happy. That type of thing doesn't go on anymore because it's all about sex now. And I blame, again, I go straight to the media and pushing that sexual agenda.
Okay. And Lonnie, not Lonnie, but Jeffrey, let me say this real quick before we get the wrap-up sign. We did not complete the critiquing of this paper, but I wanted to talk next week about black people and money. And so we may have to, next week, finish this paper up across the hall. At any rate, audience, we will announce the way we're going to finish them, because this is extremely important. It gets into lots of common sense things. And following that, down the line, the week after that, I think we should talk more about lynching and how those who have lynched and killed African Americans have not been held accountable. And that should take us into reparation. And I see our gracious technician back in the studio, Isaac Woodridge, and we appreciate your patience, Isaac. And we thank you for coming and tuning in and listening. And next week, we shall continue. Thank you for coming.
Y'all hold on one second.
Okay. Do we have a call?
Hold on one second.